video, first of all, the Calvin No Drive 229, and we're going to be doing kind of a three-way head-to-head. We're basically going to be comparing head-to-head. Right. We're going to be comparing the RS5 to the E92 M3 to the last generation C63 AMG.
The W204.
The 507. So basically, it's just going to be brief, but let's just start with the RS5. Basically, we're just going to break them all down, you know, cost, weight, you know, is it worth it? So starting with the RS5 first, that's the one that we just drove. And I guess I'll start my impressions first. So just to give y'all a little bit of stats about the RS5, it's certified pre-owned. You can get one for about $45,000. All these cars are going to be about that range.
You're looking at about 50 for the RS5.
45 to 50 really for certified pre-owned. 0 to 60 about 3.9 seconds, around 450 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 4.2 liter V8. Sounds pretty good. I'm sure even when exhaust sounds even better. Around the track, I think it's second out of these three. Am I not mistaken? It's second around the track. Those were some objective things. Subjectively, me driving it, especially coming from an S5, the RS5 felt like a kind of really aggressive daily driver, but it still didn't really feel raw. You know what I mean? It felt like really aggressive daily driver, like really aggressive, but still docile enough to be comfortable and take around, which is a good thing for probably 80% of people. But I'm not sure if that's what I'm personally looking for. So I guess it depends on what you're looking for, which one of these cars wins your head-to-head. But for me, if you want just pure performance with some touch of luxury and some touch of kind of being able to drive it every day, then the RS5 for me probably would be my second choice. So that's my spiel on the RS5, and I'm gonna rank it second out of the three. And I also like that it has the active aero. That's just really cool to me. I don't know, that's kind of like having your trunk in the front. Having your spoiler just randomly come up in the back, that's pretty epic. So that's worth like at least a little bit of money. But that's my rank of the RS5. So I'm gonna let Calvin tell you what he thinks about the RS5.
My opinion on driving the RS5 kind of sits right around with honestly what the salesman was saying. It doesn't feel like a track car. It feels like something that was meant to be a back road weapon. Like it's something that like his main tool seems to be going back and forth to work, while you can leave work and take the scenic route home on some back roads and have all the fun that you want. Is that really what I like? Not particularly, no, because I kind of feel like, for me personally, I don't like coupes as daily drivers. So I don't really want to have an RS5 and solely an RS5, which means that I would rather my fun car be a little bit more fun. The RS5 is all-wheel drive, so there are no burnouts to be done. There is no drifting. There is nothing reckless that you can really do. It's mostly a lot of just, I mean, you can go really fast in it, and it probably on a track, amateur versus amateur, the Quattro system may be better for you. But once you get to the point of really trying to enjoy the car, I think the M3 is probably going to win out on that comparison. And then, too, if you look at the track times on them, like, the RS5 loses to the M3 on pretty much every track I could find it on, from the Nürburgring to the Mazda Laguna Seca. Everything it seemed to lose, and I thought it would have done a little better considering it was all-wheel drive, but it didn't. But that also goes back to the point of it not really being a pure track car. As far as me driving it though, I guess because I'm so used to BMWs, it didn't feel like home to me. It kind of felt like something I would borrow from somebody, which is essentially what we were doing. But it wasn't, I don't feel like it was really meant to be a performance car. I almost feel like they started out with the base of an S5 and said, hey, let's make a performance version of it, and didn't really have everything else in line to make it a true performance car. Maybe that's the Audi way, because I've never driven an Audi that blew me away performance-wise. Even to the S7s and stuff, I've never driven one that was that impressive. They're good enough, I guess, but to me, they still kind of feel like something that you like buy when you finish real estate school or something.
I personally feel like, especially my thing always with Audi, I have an Audi, I love Audi, but for the price, I think they could have turned the knob up a little bit more, just a little bit more on everything. It could be a little louder, could be a little faster. Basically, it could be a little more everything for it to be the RS. You know, like that's supposed to be it. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Unless you get an R8, but I mean, other than that,
I think compared to the M3, it does not feel as razor sharp, as track focused. And compared to the C63, it doesn't feel like a brute daily driver either. So for me, in my opinion, I'm putting the RS5 third out of the bunch, with the M3 being first, C63 being second, RS5 being third. Simply because, once again, like I feel about with most Audis, what is it really supposed to be good at? It's almost like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be a daily driver that's just like a brute on the highways, or it doesn't know if it wants to be more of a track car. I don't feel like it knows what it really wants to be. Whereas the C63, you kind of know it's meant for getting on the highway and beating up on people. The M3, it feels like it wants to be on the track. You kind of know what those cars are for. The RS5 is kind of this weird middle ground that really doesn't seem to have a sole purpose. Which to me, I kind of feel like once you step into this realm of a performance coupe, especially at the price range, these cars were from 70 to 80 grand brand new. So I feel like they should have had a purpose. Not to mention, it's also the most expensive of the bunch. So I really feel like it should have had a lot more to offer in the performance realm. Comfort-wise, it's great, but if I wanted a comfortable car, I wouldn't be looking at the RS5 anyway.
it's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's move on to the Benz next, the AMG C63, the beefy dog.
C63 to me, I love that car. It's one of my favorite cars on the planet. But I kind of feel like it's a big engine in a little car. It's got tons of power, but not a whole lot of grip in stock form, at least. I mean, you can give it some grip with the right tires, but it's not a whole lot of grip. It's definitely not as razor sharp as either of those two cars on the track. Both of them will obliterate it on the track. Transmission is severely lacking compared to M3, especially M3, and also severely lacking compared to the RS5. The RS5 transmission is pretty quick. Doesn't feel like the DCT and the M3, but it is pretty good. So the transmission is definitely last place for me. The motor, I gotta say, that's one of the best sounding cars on the planet. From the factory, C63 blows the M3 and the RS5 out of the water as far as stock sound goes, period. No comparison there. Which one would I rather drive on a daily basis? I gotta say, I would rather just drive the C63. Just because it's just as comfortable as the RS5 is. And I mean, if I'm not gonna be tracking it like that anyway, I don't care about the, what is it, like a second and a half behind on the track. I don't really care about that too much because it's not gonna matter to me because I'm not on the track. But in daily usage, C63 blows the doors off of RS5 because you're looking at a 0 to 60 times are about the same. RS5 may win that just because of better traction. But look at times like your quarter mile or your 0 to 150. Like 0 to 150, for example, on the RS5 is like 26.6. Whereas 0 to 150 on the C63 is like 19.9. That's a huge gap. I mean, massive gap. So you're talking about a C63 just walking, plain out of sight on the RS5. So as a daily car, I got to go with the C63.
I think, first of all, that the C63 is the ugliest out of the bunch.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
I think that.
Who do you think is the best looking out of the bunch?
I gotta go with the Audi. I mean, it's right there. I mean, it's like
pretty close. Yeah,
it's right there.
I like the front of the Audi better, but I like the back of the M3 better.
Right. I mean, it's almost a push, but the C63 is definitely lagging behind on looks. Not only in exterior, but also probably interior. Yeah. I mean, it's okay, but that generation C63 to me look kind of old school.
The seats are beautiful, but everything else is
especially for it to be that year. I mean, because they made that up until 2014.
Yeah,
right, and it was still, it was for 2014. It was kind of lagging.
Yeah.
So it's the ugliest out of the bunch to me. And when I drove it, the transmission was just so horrible that I couldn't really get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as the engine is probably the best. It sounds crazy. Like the C63 is the only car that I could at least probably drive stock. Mm-hmm. Like the other two, I would have to put an exhaust on it.
Yep.
You know, like I would have to.
Yep.
Maybe not the same day, but you know. Very shortly.
The M3 is almost same day lead of exhaust. Like I didn't enjoy that car nearly as much as I do now without the exhaust on it.
Right. But the C63 sounds the best by far. You can just leave a stock exhaust on there. So I do like that. I like the engine. The power is there, but if I remember correctly, even though it's powerful and arguably, or not even arguably, I mean, the facts show it's the fastest car out of the bunch. But it doesn't feel like it.
Well, the thing about the C63 is that it doesn't come out of the hole that fast. I don't know if the traction control is cutting that much power or what. The C63, when I noticed how fast it was, when I took it out on the highway, nailed it to the floor. And once again, like you said, it didn't feel like I was going that fast. I looked down, I was doing like 155. So it's one of those cars, like you said, it doesn't feel fast, but the thing is just ridiculous. You feel fast when you're flying past people.
I mean, but my only thing with that, my personal thing with that is, how often can I exploit that, you know? Like with a car that's like torquey, every time I get on the road, even if I'm going 30, I can, you know, do like that. I don't have it in low enough gear, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, you can snap your neck back, but with the C63, I don't want to have to be forced to go 120 every time in order to enjoy the car. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, the Georgia State Patrol don't be playing. Well,
you know, the C63 has more torque than almost more torque than the M3 and RS5 have in horsepower. So the torque is there. It's just I think it's the delivery of it that's not really all that fun. Like I said, it could just be the traction control cutting the power of it. But it's definitely got a buttload of torque, tons of it.
Got it, but I mean it's not fun.
It's not feeling like, it doesn't feel as fun. But that goes back to it not really feeling like a track car. It feels more like a daily driver that will get down the road.
So yeah, for these reasons, this car would be third on the list for me, and it's not even close. Like definitely third on the list.
I think if I had to do like a 0 to 100 on each car, I would say the C63, in my opinion, is somewhere in the high C range, like maybe a 79. I would give the RS5, in my opinion, maybe like a 72-ish. I don't feel like it has a purpose. I don't feel like it knows what it wants to be. And then the M3, to me, I may be a little bit biased, but the M3 to me kind of feels like a good solid 85. It's a good B. It's not a perfect car by any means, but in the grand scheme of things, for it to hold its weight at that price, I'm gonna give it about about an 85, just because I wish it had a little bit more torque. I do wish it had a little bit more torque. In stock form, that exhaust is just too darn quiet.
Okay, so we got a bit of a flip-flop on the bottom two. I said 3 for the Benz, he said 2 for the Benz. I said 2 for the RS, he said 3. But I guess we both agree on the third one, and that be the M3. Yeah. E92. I guess I'll talk about it first since it's his car, so I'm sure he can rattle off all types of stats. But just from me, from driving it, let's just start with the other stuff, because he can tell you all the stats, but I'm just telling you how it feels to drive. All the other stuff really doesn't matter. Like, you just need to just go drive an E92 M3. Just go drive one. Don't read no stats.
Yeah.
Don't look at no horsepower. No 0 to 60.
Yep.
Don't look at none of that. Just go drive one. Yep. A DCT, even though I guess the main one might be just as fun. The main one.
Pretty fun, yeah.
But just go drive one. Preferably one with an exhaust. That'll make a big difference. But the feeling really is kind of surreal and legendary, just how fun it is.
Yeah.
And I mean that's pretty much all there is. It looks good. The interior is nice. I probably would give the interior second below the Audi though. Something about the Audis.
Yeah.
I like how Audi does it.
Yeah.
But a very nice interior, a reasonably comfortable car for the performance, and good exterior looks, because people still look, especially if they know anything about cars. The M3 is pretty recognizable. So good looks, good interior, comfortable cabin, and the performance that will just keep a smile on your face like plaster. Like you will never frown in an M3. Like everybody you know can be dead, and if you get in the M3, you'll probably start laughing.
All right.
So
it is one of them cars.
So that's why I rank it number 1. But I'll let him tell you all the stats and stuff.
I agree 110% with what you said about don't look at any numbers on it, because honestly I almost didn't give the M3 a chance, because I was looking at C63 has this much more horsepower and it's this much faster in the quarter mile and it's this much faster 0 to 150 and 0 to 100, and I was like, man, I'm gonna just get a C63. And it took me driving the car and really getting a chance to like really feel it out on some back roads for me to be like, oh yeah, this is a much better car, especially for the money. Performance wise, in the numbers, as far as straight line performance, it falls pretty in the middle of the C63 and the RS5. The RS5 is about 3 seconds behind it, 0 to 150. and I think maybe 0.2 behind it in the quarter mile at a lower trap speed though. So it just, all this just says to us is that somewhere along, we didn't get a chance to push it that hard when we drove it, but somewhere in the power band, the RS5 just falls flat on its face. Somewhere in there, and it's probably about 100. That's usually when Audi tends to lose it. And the M3 it doesn't pull as strong as the C63 does, but it still pulls strong. So I'm gonna give it the nod, on a pretty good nod on the performance wise in the straight line, just because it's no punk. It's just not a flat out monster either. On the track, it's the best out of all three. It beats the RS5 despite the Quattro system, and it destroys the C63 on tracks that are more technical. On tracks that are more straight line oriented, C63 tends to get a little bit of an advantage there. But I think on straight line tracks and technical tracks, M3 beats the RS5, which is to me very impressive considering the RS5 is an all-wheel drive car and meant to have performance and supposedly more horsepower and torque than them.
And costs more, way more. Like, it's not even a little bit. It's like $5,000 more in it.
$10,000 more new. And then now you can get a certified pre-owned M3 for as low as $35 if you're willing to go to the older ones like in 2011. And the highest ones are like 50, whereas you're talking about for RS5s, you're looking at about 50 grand to get one, and the highest ones will go up to like 65 once you get into the certified cars, which is, to me, is ridiculous to spend $65,000 on an old RS5, especially when it lost in that year, and they made it up until what, 14 or 15, and then that was when people started revamping things, and it was still losing to them. So it's just, to me, it's definitely not worth the money. On the value scale, it's terrible. You have to really be a big Audi fan, honestly, I feel like, to go that route.
So that's basically just our brief head-to-head on the RS5, M3, and C63.
Get an M3.
We both chose the M3.
Get an M3.
Go drive one. But go drive the other two too, because maybe you might like that.
Yeah, it comes down to what you like. I mean, like, for example, my dad is AMG over M3 all day because he doesn't care about a track time. He doesn't care about carving up back roads. He just wants to get on the highway, and if somebody pulls up on him, he wants to pull off on him. AMG is perfect for that. It really depends on what you really want out of the car.
And if you want to just like pull up to business meetings, making a little noise and just looking smooth, I'm talking about smooth, you get the RS5.
Yeah.
Because that thing looks smooth.
Yeah, they all have their place.
Smooth.
It depends on what you're looking for.
Smooth.
As a performance coupe though, the best performance coupe here is the United 2 M3.
Yep. But y'all definitely go check them out yourselves. Let us know what you think in the comments. Which one would you choose and why? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
To subscribe. Subscribe.
Press the subscribe button in case y'all didn't hear him say that.
Right. But anyway, No Wheel Drive 229, D and Calvin here. Y'all
It's not this border. It's border.